Welcome to Previously on X-Men.
The podcast that looks back on X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more.
I always like the and more, because I can't think what the more is.
Interviews.
That's a thing! You're
Yeah.
right, I'm sorry.
That's
I
what the
withdraw
more
my
is.
complaint.
Yeah, we had to stop there. We're like, and interviews and this. But who knows? It could be anything.
Could
Video
be
games?
anything.
Books?
Anything.
Yeah, Hilary got very aggressive there. You can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Other shows on the network include Three Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say three nice things about a movie with a bad and often earned reputation.
That's a good one.
There's Is It Classic, Does It Rock, where we pick a band or artist and go through their discography album by album, track by track.
That one's presumably good. I have not listened to it.
And there's Nostalgia Me This, a trip through nostalgic pop culture, though it is becoming a 90210 podcast at this very moment.
Transformed.
Yes, more on that as it develops. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X, and please rate, subscribe, and share the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Eric Mickles, known online as Dust vs. Tweak, and with me is my co-host, Hilary Gunning.
Hello.
And today we are talking about the 90s animated series,
It's my favorite part.
with the episodes Enter Magneto and Deadly Reunions. Though Hilary didn't really mean that. She loves doing all the episodes.
I love all of my episodes equally.
She likes doing the movies and the characters and the mores.
all of the mores.
All right, so last time we talked about the animated series, we had a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with the road to getting the X-Men
How it all
to
got
TV.
started.
But we've done all that. Go back and listen to the Night of the Sentinels Part 2 if you
Yeah.
want to know, because now we're free. We're free to only talk
all
about
of
things.
that baggage.
Yep.
And we can just talk about the show, you guys.
Sure can. So, Enter Magneto and Deadly Reunions was definitely part of the Pizza Hut packaging thing.
I know. Well, that's why every
Yeah.
time we've mentioned the names, I've
Uh-huh.
always had this like flash of the VHS,
like
little
the red,
like,
red
yeah.
and black VHS.
every time.
Yeah.
It's just like branded in my brain.
Because the Night of the Sentinels one, and maybe this one was just called Enter Magneto, but it was like Enter Magneto and Deadly Reunions on one tape, and they also had like
I think it had both titles.
they had the sit-down table with some of the creators of X-Men.
Oh,
Because I remember Scott Lobdell and Chris Claremont were on it, and they were talking.
Yeah, that's one of those things
Stan
that
Lee
I
was
would have
there.
skipped,
Yeah.
and you would have watched like
yeah.
17 times.
Chris Claremont definitely pointed out that they made Magneto a villain again in the comics. So, yeah, that was fun. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, that's also how you had the tapes, if you just had the tapes. Let
Which
alone
I
the
do.
Pizza Hut ones. Yeah.
In
So,
my closet right now.
I think that's where the Pizza Hut promotion thing ended, though. I think you had those
think
4
you're right.
episodes and 2 tapes, and then you just had to collect the tapes like we did back then.
Painstakingly.
2 episodes
At least
on
they
one
had
VHS.
them on tape. There
I
are lots
guess.
of shows that didn't even exist
That's true.
in like a format that you could rewatch.
Yeah, that's how I watched like the whole first season, just by renting the tapes from my local video store. And like the year 2000.
In the year 2000. Every time.
Yeah, that's even more dated than it ever was now.
Every time.
It's funny because we did Night of the Sentinels, and those were 2 episodes, but it was really just one big episode.
Right.
And so this week we're doing Enter Magneto and Deadly Reunions,
Which
2 episodes,
are,
but are
basically one episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a to be continued
yeah.
in there.
They're definitely more separate than the 2-parter was. But when you watch them, you're like, yep, it's really just another 2-parter,
Yep.
which is funny, I guess. Not really.
Hilarious.
I'm a bit tired tonight, so
I got my coffee.
yeah, I gotta start drinking coffee or doing cocaine.
Don't, Eric.
So-
Don't do cocaine.
I definitely watched you were talking about how you have Night of the Sentinels
Yes.
like memorized, like you
Yes.
could just do a
To
one-woman
its
show with it.
detriment.
These are the 2 episodes I have the most memorized from,
Yeah.
because I probably watched this tape way more,
Mm-hmm.
and it probably has to do with the villains and everything. But
You just like, because you like Sabretooth so much.
yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
I'm not the only one. In the early '90s, he was a hot commodity.
Sure, okay.
So
Whatever.
I definitely we'll get into Sabretooth. Wolverine threatens to in a real, in a pretty
I
gross
know,
way
I
at one
wrote
point.
down. Okay, we'll get there.
The story outline of Enter Magneto.
Yeah.
It's basically Magneto's big introduction to the show.
I love that the title is Enter Magneto because when he first enters the room, the first thing that I think is like, Enter Magneto.
Yes. Yep. Right on the big screen.
It's
Yep.
just perfect.
Yeah. Maybe he's too late, and the director's like, "Enter Magneto."
You
Oh, what?
get on.
Of course. Yes.
Magneto.
Indeed. Here I go. Yeah. So Enter Magneto has a few new characters in this that we're introduced to. We meet Cameron Hodge for like 2 seconds.
We do?
He's the lawyer that Beast has in this show.
He is a terrible lawyer.
That's true.
He is comically bad.
Yeah, well, all right, let's introduce the characters as we meet them then.
Excuse me, Judge.
It opens with Beast in jail.
Yep.
Which I guess is a pretty, like, interesting way to start a cartoon for kids. Just your main character reading Animal Farm.
Yeah, and I loved that little kind of joke about the...
He's just looking at the pictures.
Because like the guy's an idiot and doesn't know what Animal Farm is.
His two guards are definitely like from the same town, like the same redneck racist town at some point, because they both have like the same like draw. Like, look at him, what he doing?
He's reading a book.
And he's looking at pictures at an Animal Farm, and Magneto just breaks in. Beast is calling Wolverine impulsive because it's Magneto coming in, but Beast is like, oh, Wolverine. Yeah. But it wasn't. It's Magneto.
Okay.
And he's like out there, like the first thing we see Magneto doing is helping mutants.
That's true.
He's not just like throwing a car somewhere.
He's not just doing chaos. He's trying to save somebody. And I like that you sort of have it's almost like a Jaws moment, because you just see all the things happening throughout. He pulls the like window out of the wall, and I would swear I've seen that image. Is that a thing in the movies?
Yeah, the first movie. When Senator Kennedy's all liquidy.
Yes!
Yeah, he
pulls
it out.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Do you think that's...
Sabretooth is in that movie, too.
Do you think they were like, let's do this thing from the animated series?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
No, I don't know.
I bet they did.
He's super glowy.
He is glowy.
Magneto's very glowy in these two parts.
I think he's very grand in general.
Yeah. He's either very blue or very yellow. That's how magnetism is shown.
Is there something weird about the settings on your television?
Did you not see it?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, whenever when he meets Beast.
You mean just because he's like, because it shows
his
power.
Yeah, his power energy ball is blue, but sometimes it's also very yellow.
Yes.
So, which gets confusing because Xavier's power is usually shown as yellow.
Like the circles.
So when they're fighting, I'm like, that's a lot of yellow just hitting.
Yeah.
So
I like that one part later in the show in the episode where Magneto's like, maybe you're noticing now that magnetism and electricity are connected. Yeah. And I was like, they are! Science!
Yeah, that was funny. That was always such a weird delivery in part 2 in the Deadly Reunions when he's like, oh, and I also like that we like Beast and the X-Men like Beast.
Yes.
And Magneto's there saving Beast, but he still doesn't have time for his like poetry and his babbling because he's like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Which always cracks me up. He's like, my day in court. He's like, shut up and let's get out.
I know. Well, I like that it's not even just, he just does not fundamentally understand.
Yeah.
His point of view at all. He's like, I rescued you. Here we go. We're ready. No, not coming.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But I do like that because I mean, when we first meet Magneto as like a grown-up, he's not really like, we never see him actually like help mutants in the first movie.
As a grown-up?
When we first meet Magneto in the movies, he's a kid during the Holocaust.
Right.
But when he's an adult, he's just like out there for villainy, and so we never really get to see him like helping mutants. Yeah. So it's not like a kid be like, oh,
you get a lot in the animated series that you don't really get elsewhere. Yeah.
So basically, Magneto's showing up. He's trying to break Beast out of jail because Beast was arrested for breaking into the mutant registration thing. The same time Morph died.
Yes. Which, by the way, they did not mention again.
No.
I kind of thought, like I wrote down something early on because on the previously on, it hit that heavy with him dying. And I was like, oh, are they going to just spend the entire episode milking that? But no,
everybody's fine.
Gone.
Yeah, they
Nobody
moved on. Beast denies it because he's going to stay and he wants to do his day in court because he wants to
Very
do
beastie of
him. And then also what's happening is that Sabretooth is showing up. And so you've got Xavier's old friend and enemy showing up. And then you got Sabretooth. I mean, I don't know if they'd ever say they were friends, but acquaintance.
They'd say it, but with like a sneer.
Yeah. And also enemy showing up. And so it's kind of doing that. And it does it for the 2 episodes. Those 2 characters are interacting.
The deadly reunions of which they speak.
So for Enter Magneto, we're in the courtroom.
And an extended courtroom scene.
Yeah.
Just talking about bail, basically.
Yeah, he's being a minor felony. I remember my mom laughing at that. She's like, a felony's pretty severe.
It's a minor felony.
It's a minor felony.
It's just...
Yeah. So the new character that we just met, Magneto, he's played by David Hemblin. Okay. He's great. He's a great voice. Period. Just for Magneto. He also has like, I guess it's kind of like that Eastern European or
he's like a hint of an accent.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it, but they seem like they're still going for the Holocaust survivor
Well, it was interesting because in the flashback they have the soldiers come in and they have almost like
they look like G.I. Joe villains in the flashback.
Or like a I don't even know. Like a different war, I guess is what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was interesting. But then we see him as a kid again. When he's a child, there is. So, yeah, it seems like they're just going for a nondescript Eastern European. Yeah. Xavier specifically says, like, a war. Uh-huh. And it's very clear that he's being like, a war. Just like one of the wars.
Yeah, I mean, if it is, like, if he is still, the Holocaust survivor, and I can't remember if it ever makes it more definitive later on in the series, then, like, the ones he's talking about in that flashback in those like G.I. Joe garbs, I mean, they're just neo-Nazis at that point.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
But you're right, we don't actually get to the courtroom first because Jubilee and Xavier are watching TV, and Jubilee's just like, who's the guy? Which I thought was a funny delivery. But then Xavier just goes into his memory so quickly. Yep. He's not like, I don't want to get into it. She's like, who's the guy? He's like, we were friends once. He
doesn't have to be present.
At one point.
No.
He just goes right into the story where we also, I think it's supposed to be Gabrielle Haller, if I'm saying the last name right.
I don't know.
She's Legion's mom. Xavier's son, Legion, with the tall hair and the multiple personalities. She first appeared in like X-Men 161 and like another flashback where Xavier Magneto fought Hydra. I think it was Hydra. I think it was Baron von Strucker. But
interesting thing about the flashback, they didn't know that each other had powers. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. Like basically they find out they have powers and then they're enemies. Yep. Like right there. Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah. They're never like working together for mutant kind.
No, Xavier's using his power to heal victims, and Magneto's not using his powers, I guess.
Just like hanging around being a person.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like maybe they're still helping Holocaust survivors, but Magneto's so much older now, so I don't know what they're...
Yeah, when Xavier's talking about it, he's like, I met a young Aide or something, and it's the shot with him with
Magneto's
his white hair.
Magneto's always been 70. But yeah, I think that's her that they, like, rescue from the soldiers in the end. I think that's I might be wrong.
Snatch of continuity that I missed.
I like they don't talk much during that flashback until they use their powers. Like, violence won't solve anything, but I really like Magneto's line where he's like, how can we ever make peace with them if they can't even make peace with themselves? Yep. Like, boom, there it is.
Well, and Xavier too, right then is like, God help us if he's right.
Yeah,
or something.
I know.
So he still has
Xavier's pretty wavering,
some idea.
Yeah. And also, he was talking about how, like, Magneto, like, terrorized things. Like, terrorized and did his, acts of terrorism before we started. So,
and
like,
he
Magneto
defeated him before. Yeah. And now there's just been some amount of time, and now he's
Magneto's
back.
Just been waiting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting backstory.
Magneto had a career before we got to her. Yeah. And, Xavier defeated him. And not the X-Men, I guess.
Right. But I got the impression that this was before he even formulated the X-Men.
Yeah, I think some flashbacks in later episodes kind of start contradicting, like, the show's history a bit.
That's lame, because I think it's interesting.
Yeah. He defeated Magneto, and then he made the X-Men, I guess, for that.
Well, like, he defeated him in, like, a kind of one-on-one situation, and then teams got involved.
Yeah, his helmet doesn't stop him in this one.
Yeah, it happens several times.
I don't know.
But, like, in the movies, all he does is tap his helmet, and I sort of felt like, well, that's just like a thing we know, that the helmet blocks his...
Yeah, I cannot, for the life of me, say whether or not that's ever been a thing since before the movies. So, or at least at the time of this cartoon.
It's just in my brain. Yep. The movies got to me.
But then we go to the courtroom. Yep. As you said, for a while. Yes. Cameron Hodge is his lawyer, which is weird because Cameron Hodge is like a crazy robot villain for the X-Men. I mean, he's responsible for the extinction agenda.
Well, he clearly was going to fail as a lawyer. So he went for his backup career.
I think he does come back in his like robot body form because he's just a head on a bunch of robot pieces, like a spider scorpion monster thing. Yeah.
Ew.
And then also Sabretooth shows up. They have they do the whole courtroom. Beast talks about how mutants are humans because they bleed.
He does that whole extended Shakespeare thing.
But then he's like, get to the point. He's like, 10 days ago. He just goes right back in. And they deny him bail and everything. Mm-hmm. And then Sabretooth is there throwing things around, and part of me is like, has Sabretooth just been in the courtroom the whole time?
They didn't notice. He's very nondescript.
I mean, Wolverine's always talking about how he can smell people, but he just didn't know his old enemy Sabretooth is sitting in the back row right behind him.
That's a pretty good
Arms
point.
crossed, being like, give me a reason. I mean, we later find out why he was there, but it's just interesting that he's just like...
that's true.
But yeah, he's throwing things around. And so we're supposed to, like, believe Sabretooth is there to, like, just attack humans because they're attacking beasts.
Yeah. Just like a reaction from what's happening.
I mean, Wolverine is gonna. That's kind of interesting, I guess, now that I'm sitting here talking about it out loud. Because they push Beast, and he, like, falls on the ground, and Wolverine gets his claws out, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're in a courtroom.
He's ready to take him down.
And Cyclops stops him, and Wolverine is still like, ah! But Sabretooth is there throwing things around, so it's kind of like... I never even thought of this before, like mirroring the self-control that Wolverine has versus Sabretooth just...
Well, they talk about it
throughout
both of the episodes.
Yeah.
They keep bringing up how, like, Wolverine used to have this problem, and he's learned to control himself, and he used to be so rough, and now he's controlling himself.
It's also interesting because they're shooting at Sabretooth and fighting him. They're like, they're going to kill him, and I'm like, oh, that's not true. But I mean, at this time, both Sabretooth's and Wolverine's healing abilities are supposed to be, like, their... accelerated healing, but not,
not like a miraculous,
not X-Men 3, burn it all off and it's there 2 seconds later.
Yeah, oh my gosh, don't like, bring me back there.
They can be shot and killed if they take
enough
damage.
Because later when Sabretooth slashes Wolverine, they take him to the infirmary, and he's like bandaged.
Yeah,
and...
they could have been killed and hurt back in the day, which was slightly better. But yeah, so they have to take Sabretooth to the mansion, and there's this whole extended...
Put him in the custody of a teenager.
Yeah, there's this whole extended conversation, because Wolverine's, like, ready to just kill him. Though it looks like he's just wheeling the giant bed out of there. I love that part
so much. He just unplugs... Well, he slices the
cord.
The wires, and then he gets behind the giant bed and just, like, pushes it toward...
I like to imagine if the X-Men didn't show up, he's just going to be, like, slowly wheeling him down the hall.
And,
maybe
like,
he's,
you gotta turn just a little...
realizing a wheel locked up.
Yeah.
Son of a killer.
Why didn't you just, like, throw him over his shoulder or something?
I mean, he's heavy.
Oh, okay.
He's got the
there you go.
Like most of the characters in the show, Sabretooth has like the Jim Lee design, so he's bigger
giant.
than he used to be. Yeah. Bigger. And
it took me a while to decide, and I think I settled on costume. What exactly was happening with Sabretooth?
His costume?
He's wearing a costume. Because like he could be wearing a costume. He could also just be wearing like a headband, and that's just his body.
Yeah, I used to wonder that too. Like when I was first getting to him, like, is this his hair?
It's
but
very...
no, it's like a main costume he wears. But they have this big argument between Xavier and Cyclops and Storm are all arguing to Wolverine that you can't kill Sabretooth. He's like, you don't know him like I do. He's terrible. And they're like, you weren't so different.
Yeah, they're so dumb too, because like it sort of like pans out that they should have listened to him or whatever. But like they're just all of them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, don't kill him.
Yeah.
But also, don't just completely ignore what Wolverine's saying.
Yeah.
Like, you find out that one of your teammates has experience with this person, and you maybe use that expertise.
Yeah.
To, like, not get attacked.
I like to imagine that if my friends
wanted to be in
nice,
such a situation.
Yes, and I was like, hey, this guy that you guys are being nice to, he actually killed 2 of my other friends.
Give him a chance.
Oh my gosh.
Give him a chance.
Matt!
Give him a key to your house.
You died in vain! This is a different version of Magneto than like we later see in movies and everything.
Yeah.
He's
a lot Magnus.
More... Yeah, that's true. He's Magnus, not Eric Lencher.
Yeah. When is he Eric? Is it just the movies?
I think they're all just aliases.
Yeah.
Maybe at this time Eric Lencher hadn't been used yet. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I've always liked this Magneto because I don't think there's an actual episode where he's actually being like a villain. I can't even think of a time outside of these 2 episodes where he's like legitimately fighting the X-Men.
Yeah, and in this, he's even only doing it because he wants to get Xavier out of the woodwork.
Yeah, he's never... I can't think of an episode where there's ever just a fight between Magneto and all the X-Men. Because later episodes, he's always just doing things for mutants, but in an extreme way. And it's just... It becomes something the X-Men have to stop.
Right.
But he's never
not,
just...
like, attacking them.
He's never doing anything like... Apocalypse becomes like this series, like... villain, whereas Magneto becomes something else.
More of like a situational thing. Like you have to deal with the problem.
Yeah, he's almost like an anti-hero to the X-Men.
Yeah.
In the same way that like I don't know, like Casey Jones, I guess, was on the Ninja Turtles. That's a bad that's a bad example.
Magneto equals Casey Jones.
But he's kind of like, in this, he's not the X-Men's like main villain in a lot of ways. It's like how when Punisher shows up, he's not Spider-Man's villain, but he's, you know, somebody Spider-Man has to stop.
He's problematic. Yeah. They can't.
Magneto's problematic to the X-Men.
You can't let him keep going.
Yeah. These 2 episodes are the only ones I can think of where he's like being a villain.
Yeah.
Because his first plan is to shoot missiles, and his second plan is to blow up a chemical plant. But then later, everything he's doing is a lot more focused, I guess. And then Sabretooth. You said I like Sabretooth, because that's true. I do like Sabretooth.
It comes up a lot.
When I was first getting into comics, you can bet that I bought Sabretooth's like original miniseries.
It's bizarre.
The one-shots that I could find. Anytime he had a new... I just liked Sabretooth, and I still do.
Anytime Sabretooth comes in, it's like a Worf episode of Next Generation. I'm just like, no thank you. Not interested.
I like him in this show. He doesn't get used a lot past the first season. In this, I think he shows up like once or twice after
they use him up.
Yeah, I just like Sabretooth. I like Wolverine and Sabretooth in this show.
Yeah,
because they
do have good interactions in
their interactions are good in this show, and they're still at that point where they're mysteries or you know are mysteries.
I liked the way when they're finally, the 2 of them are conversing and Wolverine says what the grievance is, and it's like it's vague but too specific too.
He wasted 2
of my friends for no reason, and it's, I don't know, it's like it's too specific in a way that feels like it's made up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it just feels fake.
Right.
I don't know.
Because it's supposed to be Silver Fox. So it's not like he's
it is a real thing.
Yeah, it's not just like him saying like he killed my girlfriend. Yeah. He's just like 2 of my friends.
Yeah, I don't know. It's vague and specific in like a really bad
way. Name them. What were your friends' names?
I want to hear specifics.
James. Carl.
Jasmine.
But besides mysterious, this is still at the point where I think even in the comics, Sabretooth is still like stronger than Wolverine, like technically, even though Wolverine's got the metal and everything, Sabretooth is still probably beating Wolverine more often than Wolverine is. So I just like that dynamic.
Yeah.
And I like I like
well, it puts Wolverine in the position to be scrappy.
Yeah.
Which is always a fun.
But I like Sabretooth, to me, is like just a very strong concept in like a very simple package. He's like feral and he's got the claws and he's basically like Wolverine without the metal bones and everything. And he's just like that example. I talked about it in the movie one, where he's just like, what if a very bad person was a mutant?
Right, yeah.
And like on a serial killer level.
Yeah.
And so that's it. The voice they give Sabretooth, he's a bit too... He's similar to... the voice actor is Don Franks. And he's a bit similar to Cal Dodd, who does Wolverine, but he's a bit more on the like the cartoony level.
Yeah,
but I still.
I think it kind of works because it gives him kind of a snide. Vibe.
Yeah, he can be Snyder. Yeah, you can whenever he's like smirking on cartoon, you can imagine the voice is actually smirking too.
Wolverine is more like earnest in like a I'm gonna kill you kind of way. Yeah. But like then you get kind of the serial killer thing too from him just being a little above it.
I like, so when Wolverine's like pushing him out and they're arguing with the X-Men, I like that.
Just wheeling him out.
I like how Xavier says, if you take him from here, don't bother coming back.
Don't bother coming back.
I don't like that Xavier says that, but I like that's what stops Wolverine.
That's true.
Because like,
that was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
There's something about that turn that's like,
I think even in like the Claremont comics, Wolverine be like, fine. See you later. But I like surprised. How this one, like, Wolverine's like, don't say that.
Right,
Tell me I can come back. Like, you instantly learn, like, this is important to Wolverine. And, like, that's even where he's like, that's when he's starting. He's like, you don't know him, though.
Right,
that was just a real, you're right, it's a nice turn. A quick idea of how Wolverine feels about the X-Men. Because even in the movies, like when we were talking about X-Men 3 and with Phoenix, she's like, you die for them? He's like, no, I died for you. You know, that Wolverine could
I spend time with them, whatever.
They're colleagues, I guess. They have a nice TV.
If pressed, I'd say they're okay.
And then Magneto is causing trouble at the military base.
Yeah, with the missiles.
He sends the X-Men out there, and Wolverine has that great line where he's like, how come we gotta go trash your old enemy and gotta play nice with mine?
That is such a good line.
Yep. But yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, Xavier. He's not...
Well, we talk a lot about Xavier in this podcast. And I think that the animated series is starting to show even another
he's not
take
perfect
on him.
Yeah.
Because, like, from him, like, you've seen him be the like, we all trust him, he's perfect. You've seen him now in, like, the later movies. And, the early comics being just like sort of a bad person.
Yeah.
And in this you have him genuinely conflicted about the decisions that he makes and like becoming pompous, but also like by the end regretting it and like admitting it. And he's a much more nuanced type of character.
In these early episodes, especially these two specific ones, he's very naive. And I think he learns his lesson by the end. Yeah. Or at least a lesson. But
which is the big difference.
Yeah. He's naive about Sabretooth. He's naive about his dream. He's naive about whether or not Magneto is right. You combine that with his also just like, he's much more active in this than he is in a lot of the comics. So he's like, he's more... You know, he's the leader. Cyclops is the field leader, but Xavier's the leader. So, like, you mix that with the naive, and it becomes, like, arrogant and annoying.
Because he can just sit back and tell people what to do.
But Wolverine's right. He's like, why do we have to play nice to Sabretooth and then go beat up Magneto?
Yeah.
I mean, Sabretooth's not shooting missiles at the
actively.
Thing. That's from X-Men 1. That's the very first X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Where Magneto goes to Cape... Canaveral?
Is it Canaveral? Does he go to Cape Canaveral?
Isn't it?
I mean, that's a thing. Cape Canaveral is a thing.
I think it is. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read that issue.
I don't think Cape Canaveral has missiles, though. That's where they shoot rockets and stuff.
Yeah, rockets.
I don't remember what we're talking about.
It was the 60s. It's not that in the cartoon.
Okay.
But I think it is in the comic.
In the comic.
I could be very wrong.
Okay.
Apologies.
Whatever.
I haven't read X-Men 1 since I had to as a teenager. just to have
had to.
Yeah. But it is just straight out of the comics that he's doing that. Though he's only sending... Magneto is like, my greatest villain, and it's just like, all right, you three. A lot of the X-Men aren't even here, which is kind of interesting, considering this is only episode 3. And, like, other, kids are probably watching the cartoon like, where's any of them? I mean, this one came out a lot sooner than the 4th episode. This one came out November 27th, 92, which is, like, right after... the other episodes aired, whereas Deadly Reunions was January 23rd.
Oh wow!
So
that was was a cliffhanger.
Kids, no kidding. Kids just went right from the full team to 3 X-Men and Jubilee.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that. If it was a deliberate thing because they wanted to focus on specific characters.
It has to be, right? Because it's all the time that like some X-Men just aren't there, and this never.
They have lives.
Yeah, that's true.
They're living their lives.
We'll just assume Gambit's on a date.
Of something. I mean, obviously. Just there was a moment.
I mean, I guess it's just
Storm and Jubilee come in to the professor's office and just like sort of ask him about like his day or something stupid, and I was just like, what were they just doing? Yeah. Like moments ago.
Danger room.
What is a day like in this building? They're just like frittering away the hours, chatting. Well, like, what are they doing?
Yeah, because Deadly Reunion starts with them like drinking coffee.
Yes.
And then there's like an alarm and they go off. Or maybe that's this episode. At one point they're just drinking coffee.
Yeah, it is. I think it's Deadly Reunions.
Right. And then in Deadly Reunions when they come back.
Yeah.
They get coffee and Cyclops like, that tastes good. And it's just like...
I picture the people making this show just kind of taking it really seriously and like giving it all kinds of backstory. They're gonna want coffee after that. And like, that's the kind of
Cyclops
thing.
Just breathing a bunch of deadly chemicals. He wants coffee.
Yeah. They're not just standing in a room discussing the plan. They have coffee. They have preferences. Yeah. Like these are specific. They're like real people. Throw them into this situation. I don't know. It just feels like they put a lot of thought into like every scene.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, when we first met them, they were all just doing, like, Morph is just watching TV.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the couch watching TV.
I don't know. I want to, like, talk to them and be like, what was your philosophy? Because I feel like they had, like, a really clear philosophy for this show.
It'd be great, too, if after every mission we saw Cyclops getting coffee and like, oh, thank goodness. Thank God, coffee.
Then there'd be, like, t-shirts now. They're like, Cyclops and his coffee.
Yep, can't get enough. Cyclops is just holding it up to his eyes like, every day.
Can we make that a meme? Yeah. How do you make a meme?
I think it's society. Yeah.
I think
what controls my optic blast? A good cup of coffee.
And then everyone will just think that that's a thing that they somehow missed. It was
never a thing, yeah.
And they'll all get on board.
Seconds. Hurry, America.
I love it.
So the three X-Men, Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine, go to stop Magneto at the base. I like Magneto. Team. I like Magneto doing that "What Brave New World" with such people in because he's so excited.
He misquotes it, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
I think he says that this is a brave new world or something like that. Like it's just I don't know. He adds words.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
He's so excited that other people have come to join him. And it's like, we're not... They're
gonna fight you, dude.
Yeah, and his face when he realizes that the X-Men have stopped, he's like, fine. He seems kind of sad.
Is there gonna be a single mutant who follows me?
I felt bad for him. I was like, poor Magneto, like, nobody's listening to him. He's just trying to do his job. Yep. And Storm saves the day.
Yeah, she does.
The soldiers are trying to stop it, but they can't because Magneto's taking control. Wolverine's tearing up the control room with his claws.
I love that the first thing he does is break the monitor.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's such a 90s thing to do.
You can't breaking the monitor. And then he's like clawing at everything. He's like, "Where's the blasted switch?" I'm like, "Well, if it was there, you wrecked it."
Yeah, and I like the guys, the like army people or whoever, take out the piece that controls it, and they say that something is completing the circuit. Yeah, so like Magneto is just using his power to complete this circuit. I just think it's cool.
Though at one point he does like pick up the three X-Men. And I'm like, we're in that magnetism is magic kind of area still.
Yeah,
where, like,
that's true.
He can just pick up everything.
Well, he like puts circles around things and transports them.
He can knock over rocks like in that flashback. Yeah. But yeah, Storm has to save the day because she's the only one who can fly. Mm-hmm. Actually, only the women in the X-Men cartoon can fly. She's gonna blow up the missiles with her lightning, but then
and it's somehow going to be sacrificial is the implication when she first takes off.
Because she has to get close, she's gonna shoot them with lightning, and then they're just gonna blow up and kill her.
But then Xavier's like, "Wait, use my brain or whatever," and teaches her complex programming, which she then
she just shoots it with lightning
through lightning.
I was like, that's some impressive control. Yeah, like okay, now I'm only electrocuting the negative part.
0001111.
And Wolverine has to catch her.
I just swore in binary. I'm so sorry.
You swore. We're going for a clean rating here, Hilary. So Apple's programming is going to pick up on that too.
Man.
It's like, that's pretty funny, but we have to. That's an explicit rating.
They're just going to be shocked.
Yeah, I don't know why she gets like tired.
Well, I think
I don't know what drains her.
I think it's because it seems like she's using her power in a way that she doesn't usually, and so it's just kind of a strain, like the focus and whatever. I don't know, but she collapses.
I like
Wolverine catches her in that way.
He runs after her, and Cyclops is like, "Hurry!" He's like, "I'm on it."
And like he's already running.
Yeah,
and Cyclops is like, "Hey, Wolverine!
Yeah,
go get her."
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was like, I guess that will work, but still kind of like, but his body is made out of adamantium.
Yeah.
Is she not going to just cut through him like a lock?
She's just gonna, it's one of those things. Yeah. Catching her when she's falling.
And as all this happening, Magneto's just watching. I guess maybe he's just assessing.
I think he left.
He left, but then he's there to give his speech.
After they stopped the missiles?
Yeah.
Really?
After they're flying away. And he's just on the cliff.
And he's
like,
stands
you
by
and your
cliff.
X-Men defend those who wish to destroy us.
Yeah.
That is the speech that used to play whenever I shut down my computer.
That's the one that you had memorized?
Yeah. That was, and memorized because every time I shut down the computer, it was the full speech. Mm-hmm. Why? Why do you? It's so good. And that's when I also kind of picked up for the first time watching. I'm like, oh, he has that accent. And also I was just like, I love this voice actor. He's so good.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. I love that speech. It just kind of, I mean, we already figured out Magneto's character, but like that speech was just like, and this is his thesis going forward and why he doesn't agree with the X-Men.
That moment, I think it was that moment. I was watching this today. My 5-year-old son was in the other room. He was not watching this with me, but he walked out like right at that moment and just kind of glanced at the screen and was like, that's my favorite X-Men villain.
Magneto?
Yeah.
Good call.
I was like, okay, I don't think you know anything about the X-Men. Wait till he gets
a look of Sabretooth. He's not going to know what to do. He would have known, he would have seen Magneto from Pride of the X-Men.
He watched Pride, he watched the first, he watched the Sentinels ones with me.
Yeah.
And he...
As far as he knows, there's two X-Men villains, the Sentinels and Magneto.
Yeah,
and
this is not something that's interesting to the listeners, but it's funny because he said, like when he was looking at it, as he was walking through, he was like, I remember when we used to watch this.
Yep.
And I was like, that one
time. It's been a long time ago.
The one episode that we watched.
A few weeks ago. I remember. Oh, those days gone, Mother, what has become of us?
Memories.
But then, the second episode just starts, like, right from there.
Yep.
It must even just be like a day, like time frame. So in the comics, Sabretooth like goes to the X-Men because he needs the X-Men to help him. He used to have this girl with him called Birdie. Who, she had this power he called a glow, which helped him like maintain the more like bestial side of him, so he was able to just like function day to day. And she dies, she's killed in the comic, and so he has to go like to the X-Men, and so they do keep him like as a prisoner. And it was like 2 years in the comics he was just there as their prisoner, like as they were trying to cure him basically. And it didn't work out. He broke out and almost killed Psylocke and everything. So that's what the show is drawing from. But it's just funny because the comic was like 2 years, all these issues, like both series, a whole like one shot during his escape, and the show is just like, that's going to be about 10 minutes of story for us things.
Well, I mean, it's got to be some amount of time because they indicate that there's been treatment happening.
Yeah, I don't know how much.
Yeah. Because
Magneto just goes right back to his stuff too.
Right.
And like only Rogue is there now. Rogue's the only new addition.
She's such a fun addition though. She's just she's everything she says is this cute little quip. I just love it.
Xavier it opens with like him in Sabretooth's brain and everything.
With the brick
wall and everything. The Mindscape scene's always been so cool to me in this episode. I think they usually do some pretty good stuff with the psychic.
Yeah. It's pretty creative.
Yeah. And impressive because like you can see like a little bit of the cheapness or like the budget restraints of this show. So it's still kind of cool when they can do those things, and like animation wise it looks pretty good.
Well, it's good concepts. It's very abstract.
Yeah. But it's also like heady, and I guess that's a pun, but it is heady stuff. Like imagine like kids just sitting there like he's in Sabretooth's brain.
There is
Sabretooth was abused as a child, and and now he's withdrawn, and now he's angry and full of rage, and that's a brick wall he's put in his brain to keep Xavier out.
Well, that one part where the wall behind him has the like he moves to the side, and there's like the Sabretooth like weird face head thing.
Right. That turns into Wolverine as the bug.
As soon as that showed up, I was like, it's that thing. And it's like that's an image that like bugged me as a child. It was just like weird. I don't know what it was. It just like bothered me.
I think what this show is going for more, because I was reading that book by Eric Lewald again. And it seems like what they were going for with Sabretooth is he's the way he is because of his childhood and everything, not because he's like a sociopath, not because he's, just a bad guy. They're going for more of like what happens if a mutant, a dangerous mutant, had been mistreated his whole life. So I think they're going from a point of more compassion with Sabretooth, but it's hard to find compassion.
I mean, it makes sense to have like those kinds of sources of a violent
I mean, he did.
person.
He had abusive parents and everything in the comics too. He was like chained in the basement and everything. But I think he was chained in the basement after he killed his brother. So
well,
I don't know. Depending on when you're reading. Yeah. There we go. It's when they're talking about Magneto from the last episode. Storm has that like almost made for the commercial line where she's like, the fight for peace between humans and mutants just got more dangerous.
It's just a voiceover.
But they're drinking coffee while they're doing it. That's when they're drinking coffee.
That's it, yeah.
They've got that little coffee machine
in Xavier's
there.
office. Yeah, I like the little automated coffee maker.
So, at one point, because Wolverine's like, why is he still here about Sabretooth?
Yeah.
And Xavier's like, I've only begun to penetrate the recesses of his mind. And it is, and Wolverine's like, I'll penetrate his recesses.
And I'm like, I have that written down.
And in 2005, Wolverine would have been like, that's what she said.
Yeah.
But he just unironically,
like, okay. Just very straightforward. Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and penetrate those recesses.
Like,
when Xavier is in Sabretooth's brain, what does he say? He says something that's so creepy.
Why do you hide these thoughts to me?
I'll find them anyway. Yeah. It's like, I mean, you're just, just forcing your way into this poor man's brain.
Poor man. Oh, so suddenly somebody's a Sabretooth fan.
I'm a fan of not invading people's brains.
Yeah. This is where I picked up on the Professor X being naive, because of the way he is just like, we can cure him. I've cured Wolverine. I can cure anybody.
Yeah.
And it's
but it's almost a self-aware naivety. It's like because there's a couple times, like the part where he says, like, God help us if Magneto's right. There's a couple things where it's like he's almost like pushing himself to believe the best.
His dream,
even though he sort of has some hesitation.
Yeah.
And it's got, I don't know, there's layers.
Yeah. I've always liked this Xavier.
Yeah.
He's that good balance of not perfect, but also like the good leader that you can trust.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, he's, scary
like
and
psycho.
psycho.
What the heck is with
and in the
him
movies,
in the
even in the movies, he gets pretty curmudgeon-y.
Yeah.
So this is where does Wolverine go?
Oh yeah.
In this episode.
Yeah.
I go where I wanna go.
He just leaves.
This is our where is Wolverine?
Where is Wolverine?
He goes where he wants to go.
He does go where he wants to go, but he just leaves. We don't see him. He later says, like, good thing I didn't go too far to cool off. But we don't get, like, a scene with him in a bar at a pool table being harassed by a Jack Nicholson impersonator.
He doesn't want to be in the building
with Sabretooth.
So he could be anywhere.
Or people trying to help Sabretooth.
Let's speculate. Where'd he go?
Yeah, he probably just, like...
Is it the same bar?
You think
Does he always go to the same bar?
He said he didn't go as far. So maybe he's just, like, out back chopping wood with his claws.
I like that.
Just chopping down trees. Like,
he's just chopping.
Maybe he's probably not in the danger room. So I imagine he's just outside.
He's got to be out of the building.
He's at the, maybe
off the estate. Maybe he needs to be in town.
We said they're not mourning Morph, but maybe he went to the same cliff again and was like, I'll still avenge you,
I'm
my
going
friend.
to, I promise. When he leaves, Xavier's like, we'll deal with Wolverine's attitude later.
It. Yeah. Just like, okay.
As a group.
Yeah, we'll all deal with Wolverine's attitude.
His attitude.
It's just a funny line coming from Xavier. I'm like, you're also...
He's got a serious dad vibe. I mean, it's the same thing when he said, don't come back. Like, if you leave, don't come back. It's very... Yeah.
Magneto shows up again, and I like how he just knows... It's Magneto. It's like, he's taunting me. He's challenging me.
Well, he said there's like a number or something. There's something that the computer says that feels like it's like a code of some kind that maybe he knows, or maybe he's just has a feeling.
Visually, this episode I feel is more striking than the previous one because we got the Mindscape scene, which is pretty impressive animation wise. But I also think like the chemical plant and all the smoke and fire and everything
very elaborate.
Is more visually interesting than just being like outside a military base.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's not just like a warehouse. It's not just a bunch of boxes. It's like everything's on fire. It's just it's a very like extreme setting.
Yeah.
And then you also have that mindscape. So
yeah, that's true.
I was kind of impressed.
In that scene it's also interesting the takedowns are all kind of unique for how like Magneto takes down the X-Men. Yeah. Because like I guess Cyclops just gets knocked out by the vapors or whatever.
He gets the vapors.
Yeah. And then Storm has her claustrophobia. And then Rogue gets taken out ultimately by doing CPR on Cyclops and getting his power, so she's blind.
She still gets like sent out. She gets smashed around a little bit, right?
She gets smashed when she tries to save Storm, but she's like fine. I get the impression that like because some time passes in the show, but I think it's supposed to basically be like she gets knocked down and she gets right back.
Yeah, up. She doesn't really get like knocked out. She's not unconscious like the other two.
But once she's the way she gets taken out of the game is by taking Cyclops' powers. So it's like each of them has their own thing. It's just
Magneto's threatening to blow up this whole chemical plant. And so again, only 3 X-Men: Storm, Rogue, and Cyclops.
I mean, they're good X-Men.
Yeah, that's a good team.
That's a power team.
And this is where we learn that magnetism and electricity are related.
They're related.
And he knocks her down. And this is where we learn Storm is claustrophobic. Yep. Which plays a lot more into the next episode. I think it's Captive Hearts with the Morlocks.
Oh,
I think that's more in that
one.
Well,
it's a very succinct portrayal. Yeah. Like she's just like there's a flashback of her as a child and then she's scared.
But it's not just like somebody pushed her in a closet. It's a brick wall falling on her, which is basically what happened to her as a child. Yeah. So it's a little too similar. Yeah. But it's funny because Rogue is like, come on, honey, the bricks weren't that heavy. I'm like, they were bricks. I mean,
there was a brick wall.
Yeah.
She's just like a person.
Yeah. Oh, those were the light bricks. Don't worry.
Foam bricks.
A whole wall of bricks landed on her.
These aren't real bricks, honey. What's going on?
And this is, again, where magnetism's still kind of like magic-y.
A little bit of magic,
because he's throwing them around and everything is being knocked over. It's the smoke with Cyclops and he's unconscious. So Rogue helps unbury Storm. But then, Cyclops is out and not breathing, so she has to do CPR, which I think is like a clever, like Rogue can't touch anybody, but she has to give CPR. She
has to give him CPR.
And
I think it's interesting how she doesn't really hesitate.
Yeah, she's just
I feel like a lot of the time with Rogue, they treat her powers like they're completely catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she can't even brush against somebody. But I liked in this how it was just sort of like, she just weighed her options and is like, I mean, I've got to do the CPR. It's not going to be great.
Technically, I think he should be almost worse for the wear by getting CPR from Rogue in those powers.
But it wasn't very long.
No, I guess not. That always kind of stuck with me. Maybe I saw this scene as a kid out of context, but it's always like Cyclops' uncontrollable power now coming through Rogue's uncontrollable power. Like that always kind of struck me. And that's another like anytime Cyclops' powers are out of control, it's usually visually impressive.
I love how she's like, "How do I stop this?"
I know.
And he's like, "Close your eyes."
Yeah. But they definitely play the CPR for kicks too, for kids who think kissing is icky, even if it's to save your life. Yeah. Because she's like, "You're not gonna like this. Don't tell Jean."
Well, I think she said you're not gonna like it because it's gonna.
That's true. It's gonna be her
powers.
But then she's like, "Don't worry, I won't tell Jean."
Don't tell Jean.
And then she's like, "Ah, my optic glass!"
I liked later when she's sitting on, like, when they get back to the mansion. And Cyclops...
She says we should do it again sometime.
Yeah, and she's all like flirty and stuff.
Yeah, Nick on Twitter said Rogue saying we'll have to do it again sometime to Cyclops was the steamiest thing he had ever seen as a kid.
It's so funny.
Which
my favorite part is Cyclops' reaction because he's like, yeah,
I know. He's just he's like,
well, he's so awkward.
He is. He just has no idea what to say.
And like so much of the character interactions in this show have been reinforcing that they like are friends and like hang out all the time, know each other very well, and so like the amount of awkward that he is in responding to them.
Well, I would.
Heavens!
I gotta tell Jean, write a letter. Dearest Jean, I apologize. Xavier shows up. He's like, "You want me? Here I am." Yeah. In his floating chair. He gets knocked out of his chair. Right, it's mind controlled at a certain point, which doesn't make much sense. But he shows up. Magneto knocks him out of the chair, and at one point, like, Xavier's just like crawling away. Yeah. And but he's like, he's just crawling away the same way like anybody would. And I thought like that's very impressive for a kid's cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Where like this character he can't walk, but they're not like making a big deal. This is just how he's getting around right now.
Yeah, you're right. It was very kind of
very
like
quick.
Ahead of its time, I feel like.
It just kind of, but also like you're a kid and like Xavier's like the man on the scene right now. He's this big deal showing up in battle and he stops Magneto and you know he's also in a wheelchair and it's like on a kid's cartoon where are you seeing anything like that? Yeah. As like, and I imagine like if I was like 8 years old that would have been like, whoa.
Yeah, well I mean the thing about it is that it might not even have like, you might not have noticed and been like, that's a weird thing, but it would have impacted how you viewed that kind of thing. Because you're right, like in that kind of thing, you knock a person in a wheelchair out of the wheelchair, and in a lot of media, it would probably be to be like, oh, can you believe that they're, and now they are stricken, and there's like a waif on the ground, but he's just, he's just crawling away as if he's a person, because he is. You know, it's just very, matter of fact.
And then he hits Magneto with all his Holocaust memories all at once. Holocaust Poor Magneto.
Memories. Oh boy, Magneto's dramatic about that.
Yeah.
He's
please,
like, no, please.
Yeah.
I love when he's like looking away in his like...
He's trying to look away, but it's all in his head.
And then he reaches over to blast the wall, like not where he's looking. It's this very like melodramatic move of like, oh, I must get away.
Well, I imagine he just has not, you know, he's fueled by the anger, but he doesn't really.
Well, I mean, obviously these are genuinely traumatic memories, but it's just a funny... I don't know. He's just so stricken by it.
Yeah, the voice delivery is very overdramatic. But, I mean, it's enough to get him out of the building. You're right, he doesn't look, he just blows up a wall. He's like, I'm gone!
I'm out of here! I'm out of here!
Yeah, awesome. I wrote Rogue's the best. Because, like, the other two are knocked out, and she's just like, all right, she can't even see.
She's just carrying him.
She's blind right now because she's got his optic blast.
Yep.
And Xavier's just like, I'll be your eyes. She's like, okay. And she's just picking up the other two X-Men and flying out.
She's so game.
She was, she's always game. She's just like, okay. And anyway, she's great.
She's going to do the thing.
Yep. And also, maybe I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm not talking up the animation enough because I'm always kind of impressed by the animation she does when she's like opening only one eye to check. Yeah, because it always seems like very subtle, well done animation for a very small thing. And I'm like, what? The animation's not horrible.
Because she takes the glasses off and then she's like, is it safe?
Yeah, and that's when she's like, we should do it again sometime. And Cyclops like spills his coffee all over. Yeah. And also we get to learn it's an election year, apparently, because Senator Kelly is going to run for president.
Senator Kelly's going to run for president.
I've learned
and one of the things he's running on is that he's going to put mutants.
He's going to put American citizens in
internment camps.
That's his campaign platform. Yeah, I feel like in these kind of shows, though, it's always an election year. Somebody can always just run for president, and that just means...
it sort of makes me wonder if it even is an election year.
Yeah.
Because the way that the press responds when he
what?
announces it, they're like, you're what?
I know. Yeah, that one person's like, what do you plan to do about this? Uh-huh. She just stopped over from, like, I don't know, a Dustin Hoffman film in 1970. It's crazy. They left Jubilee to babysit Sabretooth. And she's still, like, in charge. She's watching this with him. It's like, you left Jubilee? Wolverine just told you that this man killed 2 of his friends for no reason, and you left the 14-year-old girl who left her foster parents to be with you because yours should be a better place than...
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And apparently also gave her, like, whatever is necessary to let him out of his chair.
They gave her the passcodes to let this crazy killer with claws?
Yeah. They weren't even like, no matter what you do, don't let him out of the chair.
Goodness. Yeah, she falls for it, and then he's just gonna straight up kill Jubilee. Yep. He just says, like, I'll make it nice and quick. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. He's just, I mean, it's Sabretooth, but still, like, I'll kill this 13-year-old girl.
And, like, it's Sabretooth, so it's gonna be...
gruesome.
Like he's gonna, like, break her neck or something. It's not like some...
He's got his claws up there. Distant... It looks like he's just gonna claw her until she's dead.
Poor Jubilee.
We learned that Magneto sent him there to find the mansion and destroy it.
Right.
I don't know if Magneto would have been like, kill this 13-year-old girl if you run into her.
Yeah, this Magneto probably would not.
Yeah, I don't think he knew who he was dealing with, maybe, with Sabretooth here. I was
going to say, because he pins her arms down at the very start and is like, oh, you can't use your powers.
Yeah.
But then he's got, like, one of her arms, and the other one's like, oh, no, I'm over here.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she just freaked out. I guess I would be.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Sabretooth's like 8 foot tall.
They do
He's
save
huge.
it later because Wolverine pops up like Ricky Tikki Tavi.
Oh yeah, with the like that shadow of it, and then he just like jumps down again. Yeah, that's always funny. I like his line in here. It reminds me how in X-Men 2, Wolverine's like, you want to shoot me, then shoot me. Mm-hmm. And this one, he's like, you always like picking on people smaller than me, smaller than you.
Smaller.
Try taking me on.
Yeah,
I love that because he is smaller too.
I like the brazen acknowledgement that he's small.
That Wolverine's 5'3", and Sabretooth is like 7 or 8 feet tall and full of muscle. I guess I was just singing Down Under right there. But Sabretooth is basically going to kill and almost does kill Wolverine.
Yeah.
Just like claws him up. Mm-hmm. Right. And I guess I was reading that book again, the Previously on X-Men by Eric Lewald, and they said this was the only time they were allowed blood in the show.
That's interesting.
The claw marks are red. It's not just like a ripped uniform and he's on the ground.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
He just takes him right out. So Wolverine is they're fighting. They have like this whole fight with Wolverine kicking him and everything, and Sabretooth has him down.
Right.
And he's about to like feed Wolverine his own claws.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh F, and then he does. He cuts up Wolverine, and I feel like that's another like oh F moment for kids. And then Jubilee shoots him and sends Sabretooth just right out the wall, and Sabretooth books out. I'm like, this is intense. Mm-hmm. This is an intense scene.
But like in 3 episodes, or 4 episodes now, we've had several instances of Jubilee saving the day.
Yeah.
And like she's...
Yeah.
I remember her as being sort of a nothing character.
No, she's there.
But she's like pretty powerful. I mean, she took down Wolverine early on. Yeah. She's now taken down Sabretooth, knocked him through a wall.
She took down a Sentinel at one point.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, she's legit.
Yeah.
I don't know what was wrong with young Hilary.
So Storm saved the day in the 3rd episode. Rogue technically saved the day. And,
Rogue's always saving the day.
And then Jubilee saves the day.
Yeah.
So, you know, they were on it with that too. This speech, this is where Xavier learns he's been naive about everything. He's like, oh, I can't believe it, I failed. But Storm's line has always cracked me up where she's like, we failed together.
All of us.
Like, well,
that's not super helpful.
Yeah, not helpful and also not entirely true.
One of us more than others.
And what did all of you fail at? I mean, I guess it is kind of like they don't really win. Like Magneto gets away, Sabretooth gets away.
They do get beat up a lot in these 2 episodes. They basically exclusively fail.
Wolverine's now in the infirmary.
Yeah.
Magneto's definitely swearing vengeance against humans and the X-Men now. Sabretooth is a killer just out in the woods.
Just running around.
Like Storm and Cyclops. I mean, who knows what Cyclops breathed in. So he's fine. Yeah. And he got all his powers taken away. It's kind of a downer. But I definitely think if it's a 2-parter, then part 2 is more exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
The Magneto Sabretooth fights and everything. So, but also pretty great episodes.
Yeah, they're solid episodes. Yeah. Every time I watch one of these, I remember when I was a kid, I just watched them. Yeah. Like they were cartoons, and like a kid watches cartoons, and now I'm watching them and being like, oh, first of all, they're good episodes. Right. Second of all, I don't really understand how they kept my attention as a child. Because there's so much, like with the courtroom scene. They're so talky, yeah. They're so talky. Yeah. And like when you watch them as an adult, it's like, this is not bad talkiness. It's not boring. It's purposeful. It's crafted well. Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm surprised that as a child, I was engaged by that.
You know what factor probably helped with these 2 episodes for you then?
What?
Sabretooth.
Yep, probably.
He'll show up in like he'll show up 2 more episodes from now.
Sadly, you might be right, because I don't really remember anything from these 2 episodes except the scenes with Sabretooth, which I remember very well, so...
He's a presence! Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, yeah, I really don't think we see Magneto again until the, the finale episode.
Which is smart. They save him.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I really do think, he's now out until the last episode. And then
enter Magneto.
Sabretooth will show up
Magneto
in 2 episodes, and not the next one, but the one after that, and then he's gone for like that whole season. So they go through the villains pretty quickly. Yeah. Night of the Sentinels was they talked about doing it very consciously. Like, humans are the threats, and the Sentinels represent the human threat and everything. And the Sentinels show up a lot more. They'll have a whole bunch more scenes in this season, whereas these 2 episodes are now entering the mutant threat that the X-Men have to stop. It's pretty clever.
It's well crafted.
Yeah. Next episode, we gotta go to the Morlocks. I know you're not a Morlock fan.
Okay, here's the thing with me and the Morlocks. I don't have feelings as an adult about the Morlocks. All I have is when I was a kid, the Morlocks showed up and I didn't care. Oh. Yeah. So maybe I might have more,
Yeah. I think it's quick. I think it's just the 1 episode, and then maybe the really bad Christmas episode I don't love.
There should not be Christmas episodes of
I
shows
could be wrong Morlock-wise, but I think it's just those 2 episodes. Yeah. Yeah, so the next episode is Captive Hearts, which is the Morlocks captured Scott episode, and then it's Cold Vengeance, where Wolverine's up in Alaska dealing with Sabretooth. Again.
Sabretooth again.
Yep. So those will be the next animated episodes we watch.
That's in 3 episodes now?
I don't know. Couple.
Something like that.
Yeah. Just let the podcast take its
we'll take you through.
I mean, when I was getting into the X-Men, this cartoon was informing my knowledge as I was trying to catch up with the reading and everything. So going into Sabretooth's mind, or dealing with the character's past and everything, that's where I was getting it from. So I have a soft spot for Deadly Reunions. Yeah, more so, Enter Magneto's enjoyable, but I think Deadly Reunions is more dynamic.
Yeah, well, that's where it all pays off. Yeah. I think it's interesting talking to you about this, the animated series in general, because I feel like you watched it with a different mindset than I did.
I was older. I wasn't watching it as it was happening. That's probably
what it is, because every time you talk about it, it's like you were studying it almost.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I was just watching it, living my life.
It's very true, because I had my X-Men encyclopedia. I had Essential X-Men 1, 2, and 3 maybe at the time, and anything else I could find, and it. So yeah, definitely the show. If a certain character showed, I'm tell me what his name is. So there was a lot. Anytime there was, we saw cameos in Sabretooth's mind of Omega Red and Deadpool. I think Maverick was there too.
Oh, I didn't see.
So that stuff, I was whoa. Yeah. So the more convoluted stuff got, the more I wanted to know. Yeah. The convolution didn't scare me. It was keep who's Maverick? I mean, Maverick doesn't really pay off for me personally.
How do you deal with that when you don't have Google? You can't be describe.
I know we had the internet, but I was blown away by going to the X-Men First Movies website, and it just was here's Hugh Jackman in costume. He has heightened senses. I'm whoa. I think we don't have any issues with like the first 2 seasons in terms of like viewing order. I think it's season 3 we have to be specific about what we're watching.
I was looking at the DVD that I have that seems pretty straightforward.
We'll watch them in the correct order, not the DVD in televised release.
Yes, we will use the correct order.
I'm Dust vs. Tweak everywhere online, and apart from other shows on Radio Meanwhile Network, I'm the co-host of the podcast, The All the Book Show, where we just did an interview with Steve Englehart.
Yeah.
Talking about his time on Batman. So you should go listen to that, and then maybe hang out a couple more episodes, because maybe Steve Englehart will stop on by this podcast.
Maybe. Who knows?
Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Join us for our next episode, which is a character spotlight. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. It's probably going to be Cyclops.
It's Cyclops, yeah.
I was trying to think of who I wanted to talk about, and everybody I thought of was like, well, we should probably talk about Cyclops before this guy. And I was like, let's just talk Cyclops.
Get Cyclops out of the way.
Even Wolverine, we have to like talk Cyclops for, so when we can say, and then Wolverine tried to steal his girlfriend, we can, put some context in there. Again, you can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Previously on X. Please rate, subscribe, and share this show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our next episode is the character. I already said that. Boy.
We're in like an endless loop.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Where can they find us?
No, it's too much. Don't make me say it. That was Hilary using her psychic powers on me.
Did we not mention that I have psychic powers?
Hilary,
is that something that
that's why she's on the podcast specifically.
Her
psychic powers, so she can. What I can say is this a correct portrayal of Xavier's power?
Well, to be fair,
yes, little less.
Speaking as someone with psychic powers,
less yellow lines just out there. All right, thanks for listening.